Senator Lindsey Graham criticizes the U.S. military cuts that will be in this debt ceiling agreement that is going down right now. And is there mutiny going on for Russian President Putin right now? Very well, possibly, as they're talking about it on Russian state TV. I'll show you the clips in this video. Yeah, things are getting crazy here. Let's jump right in. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe down below so you don't miss out on any new videos. Completely free to do so. And thanks so much for liking these videos. Here we go. Things are getting crazy here as we're remembering here our troops that have defended our country and maybe others here around the world. Uh, yeah, they're talking about cuts to our military in this budget or in this debt ceiling deal. It will revert back to spending back to 2022 levels and very, very slim increases for future raises. Senator Lindsey Graham says President Reagan would never do this to our military. Take a listen to what he has to say here.
Right now, Ukraine is preparing to launch a major counteroffensive push against Russia. Western allies have given billions of dollars of military support and financial aid, but Ukrainian President Zelensky says his country needs more and different weapons. My next guest has just made the trip to Ukraine, where he met directly with President Zelensky. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham joins us now from London. Senator, welcome back to Fox News Sunday.
Thank you.
All right, before we get to that, I want to talk about your reaction to the budget deal as we now understand it, because based on your tweets, you do not think that the defense spending part of this is a good deal because it essentially gives the president what he was asking for in his budget when it comes to defense spending.
Yeah, well, number one, I respect Kevin McCarthy. I want to raise the debt ceiling. It'd be irresponsible not to do it. I want to control spending. I'd like to have a smaller IRS. I'd like to claw back the unused COVID money. And I know you can't get the perfect, but what I will not do is adopt the Biden defense budget and call it a success. Kevin said that the defense is fully funded. If we adopt the Biden defense budget, it increases defense spending below inflation. 3.2% increase in defense is below inflation. The Biden defense budget takes the Navy from 298 ships to 291 at a time when China is going to increase their Navy by almost a third. So the Biden defense budget was a joke before, and if we adopt it as Republicans, we will be doing a great disservice to the party of Ronald Reagan. The biggest winner of the Biden defense budget is China because they'll have a bigger Navy, and it will be Putin. There's nothing in the budget for Biden to help Ukraine win a war that they're on the verge of driving the Russians out. So I like Kevin a lot, but don't tell me that the Biden defense budget fully funds the military. We've attacked it for a year as Republicans because it takes the Navy in decline at a time we need a larger Navy to contain China. The overmatch with China is real. The Biden defense budget makes it even worse for us. So I look forward to the details, but if you send me the Biden defense budget to the United States Senate and declare it fully funds the military, you will have a hard time with me.
I like that you edited yourself for Sunday television. I could see where you're going
Yeah,
there, but does that mean that you would be a no? Because you obviously sound very concerned about the default, the default portion of this. Would you be a no overall?
I am not going to do a deal that marginally reduces the number of IRS agents in the future at the expense of sinking the Navy. The Biden defense budget takes the Navy from 298 to 291 ships. The Navy suggests that we need 373 ships to deal with the threats we face as a nation. How do you get to 373 ships if you're spending below inflation? That's just the Navy. The Air Force is in the same world. Listen, this is sequestration potentially 2.0. In 2011, my good friend Mitch McConnell negotiated a deal with Joe Biden that virtually destroyed the Defense Department in the name of raising the debt ceiling. If this is another round of sequestration, not only will I vote no, I will not be intimidated by June 5th. This is Memorial Day weekend. We're celebrating those who died for our country. I'm a Republican from the Reagan camp. Ronald Reagan would not do this to our military. The defense team of Joe Biden, I've lost faith in a long time ago. I've been making light of the Biden budget as being inadequate, a win for China. And if you ask me now to swallow it because of the debt ceiling, you can forget it. The number one job of every member of Congress should be to defend the nation, and the Biden defense budget does not do it. Kevin has a hard job. I like him a lot. But my good friend John McCain voted for sequestration in 2011, thinking we would never do the cuts that we actually did. 2 years later, he says it's the worst vote he ever made. We're doing the same thing all over again in the name of raising the debt ceiling. We should raise the debt ceiling, but we should not cripple the military's ability to defend the nation as a trade-off. Spending below inflation is not fully funding the military. Cutting the size of the Navy only helps China.
All right, I want to make sure that we get to where you've been in meeting with President Zelensky there in Ukraine. They're gearing up for a counteroffensive. Any hope or any thoughts that there are any diplomatic efforts in the offing? Because the Council on Foreign Relations writes this: the Ukrainian public overwhelmingly supports reclaiming every inch of Ukrainian territory, including Crimea. Putin insists that any peace talks recognize Russia's claim to Crimea and the Ukrainian oblasts of Donetsk, Kherson, Luhansk, and Zaporizhia. So the Ukrainians, rightfully, they want their land back. Putin doesn't want to give them any of it. He seems willing to expend lives endlessly on both sides of this thing. How does it end?
Well, here's how it ends. I want to end the war in Ukraine by defeating Putin. The counteroffensive is afoot right now. In the last 400 and something days, the Ukrainians have defied every expectation. They've weakened and bloodied the Russian army inside of Ukraine. I expect major gains in the coming days and weeks. The Ukrainians have had a weapon called the Storm Shadow provided by the British that's wreaking havoc on the Russians. They need longer range rockets called ATACMS, and they need cluster munitions to defeat the Russians. I think they can expel Russia from Ukraine. I want the war to end, but in 2014, we did a deal with Putin, giving him the Crimea. What happened? He invades to try to take the whole country. If you want to end the war in Ukraine, which I do, defeat Putin. I want to end it so we don't have more war. If you let Putin get away with this, China will take Taiwan. I wanted out of Afghanistan, but I didn't want to give the country back to the Taliban. So to all the smart people out there, the best thing you can do is give Ukraine the ability to evict the Russians, to liberate their territory. They're not asking for one soldier. They're asking for weapons and technology. And it is in our national security interest to make sure they can beat Putin, and they are on the verge of driving the Russians out. So we need to keep helping them. All of our allies need to be all in helping Ukraine. They can win this. They can liberate their territory with American help. And nobody's talked about how we're going to help Ukraine win against Russia. I am talking about it. They can do it. They're on the verge of a major counteroffensive that needs support.
Well, let me ask you about this quickly, because Republicans and Democrats on the Hill have openly expressed concerns about our inability to help other places that need us. Taiwan, we've got billions in back-ordered weaponry and those kinds of things. Defense News says this: Ukraine's consumption of U.S.-supplied materiel is outstripping the capacity of American defense firms to quickly replenish it. Center for Strategic and International Studies report last month found that the U.S. defense industrial base is unprepared for a notional battle with China over Taiwan. How do we manage that?
Well, number one, you don't pass a defense budget below inflation. We are overmatched. We do need more weapons. But letting Putin dismember Ukraine and get away with industrial-sized war crimes gives you more war, not less. If Putin is allowed to win when he can lose if we do the right thing, there goes Taiwan. If you don't see the connection between Ukraine and China, you're missing a lot. We need more defense spending. They're right about the weapons. We need to increase our arsenal. We have multiple threats. Let's help Ukraine defeat Putin, end the war on favorable terms in the Ukraine. You'll make China less likely to invade Taiwan. The defense budget they're proposing as part of this deal makes it impossible for us to do the things we need to do. You're reducing defense spending at a time we need more of it.
So there you go, Republican Senator Lindsey Graham. And remember here, he's not really just a senator. He also served in the U.S. Air Force and as a colonel here, and he served in the, I think it was the South Carolina, let me see here, Yeah, the South Carolina Air National Guard as well. So there you go. Now, this comes here as the former president of Russia, the guy who served in between Putin's presidencies, says the war in Ukraine could last decades, especially if Russia is allowed to, remain and not push back. Also, Russian state TV guest calls for Putin's removal on one of only three state state TV channels that are, controlled by Russia's government. Take a listen to what was said on Russian state TV here.
Скажу, при нынешнем политическом режиме нам не светит вернуться в Европе. Надо просто выбрать другое руководство страны, которое прекратит эту историю с Украиной.
Я ожидал, что вы скажете,
и выстроить нормальные отношения с европейскими странами. И все встанет на свои места. В следующем году выборы президента. Надо другого кого-нибудь выбрать, а не Путина. Все будет хорошо.
Боюсь, Борис, что вы сейчас как раз в другую сторону агитировали. Вас послушают избиратели и сделают ровно противоположное.
Почему?
Ну, потому что послушай Надеждина и сделай
Хотите
наоборот.
играть с Европой? Ну, решайте. Хотите играть в хоккей с
Так,
канадцами,
нам все
а не
заканчивать
с
надо.
индусами? Вот,
Так, все, давайте мы сделаем паузу.
So, for the first time on Russian state TV, their own TV station said that Putin and the country's leaders must resign and others need to be elected. Can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. This also comes as just a few days ago we had the mutiny of a Russian group take over a portion of a Russian city here just a few days ago as well. Also, we're seeing here another major headline here. The Kremlin faces a quote mutiny and coup attempt, declared former Russian commander. Take a look at this here. In making these critical comments, Gherkin, a major Russian nationalist and former commander of separatist forces in the Donbass region of Ukraine, said that Prigozhin, the leader of the Wagner Group, was laying the ground for a mutiny and to carry out a coup attempt against the Kremlin with Wagner forces, as he's now leaving Bakhmut. And these claims were circulated on Saturday on Twitter, and an organization that translates this materials said this here on Twitter, and that they accused Prigozhin of preparing for a coup in Russia, and that this signals a rift in the elites where the Wagner Group boss Prigozhin will take advantage of with his private army that is being withdrawn from Bakhmut. And he adds that if Russia misses the upcoming counteroffensive, the political situation in the country may become unrecognizable by the end of summer. If Prigozhin remains the head of the Wagner Group, the mutiny will come quickly and radically. A coup attempt has been declared. What will happen next? I don't know, especially as the Wagner Group is urgently withdrawn to rear bases. The danger of a looming coup is clear. Now remember, it took Russia 224 days to take Bakhmut. Ukraine is still even saying that Russia hasn't even taken Bakhmut, so it's still under contestation. But that's a long time for Russia to battle over one city in far eastern Ukraine. So the question here is Russia growing tired of this, special military operation? Will there be an overthrow of President Putin? Will there be a change in regime? Will this be the start of the end of the war? Or will status quo continue? Or will there be a change in status quo? Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our country and around the world that you need to know about. So if you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos here. And hope you're enjoying your weekend. Remember that this weekend is all about everybody who has given their service to defend our country and to make sure that our lives are safe as possible. So, yeah. Make sure to like and share these videos here. Here's some videos you should watch next. A deal has been reached, and you can click here to see the details on that. And there's been some major foods that are going to be banned here in the United States. You can click here to see why. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.